Maps are our lens for the world that we live in, particularly for young minds seeking to understand the world that they've been born into. Maps let us see over the horizon, to distant places that we've never been. They tell us about our world and frame our perspectives on important topics that have ethical repercussions that span cultures and generations. For example, in 1569, the Flemish geographer and cartographer Gerardus Mercator created the standard Mercator map projection for ocean navigation, which had the useful property of representing any course of constant bearing as a straight segment. One unintended consequence of this map projection was to convince generations of Europeans and Americans that the global north was much larger in landmass and somehow more culturally consequential than nations in the global south. In this projection, Africa and South America were diminished in their proportions. And as the internet has made clear in recent years, this could not be further from the truth. It's amazing how a simple map projection can distort our outlook on the world and the ethical baggage that comes with it. But what does the actual content of a map do to young minds seeking to understand the world around them? Most global maps and globes are of nation-state borders, perhaps lulling us all into thinking that the most important thing about our world to care about are the relative size of nations, the specific border disputes or issues between those nations, the kind of people living on the different sides of those borders, and the security issues over which nations have fought wars for centuries. Indeed, national borders are important. Yet, what if all children were raised on a different kind of world map that emphasized a different kind of borders? What if the map on which they were raised was drawn with natural borders as the most prominent feature? What if it was the global map of unique ecoregions that represent the historical wildernesses in which humanity evolved, and which humanity has been systematically annihilating at an alarming pace over the past few centuries? Each unique ecoregion represents a unique constellation of plant and animal species that exist nowhere else in the world. Unique bodies of water and rivers that flow singularly to shape these vast landscapes in unique ways. The Everglades are not the High Sierras. The Albertine-Montane Rift is not the Amazon-Orinoco Southern Caribbean mangroves. These are unique places with unique value to our planet and our species. Perhaps children should learn about these places and these borders first, so that they can put the ever-expanding human footprint into a more meaningful context. When they see bad ecological news, which happens multiple times every day, then they would be equipped to understand this news in the context of these unique ecological resources that are being impacted. For the fate of our planet and our species, it would seem only prudent for children to be raised first on this map comprised of this global set of borders. Without such a map, there is no way for students to think in terms of planetary ethics, as I propose in my new book, A Planet of 3 Billion. When we do harm to our planet ecologically, we are impacting specific ecoregions and their unique resources. In turn, we are doing harm to other humans who rely on these common ecological resources for their own livelihood and well-being. Since I am ineligible to be an AGS Ethical Geo Fellow, I propose to build off the great work of the NGO Resolve and the Ecoregions web map they provided to build a set of classroom resources that will allow children to grow up prioritizing our natural borders over our political borders in their ethical thinking about the planet that they live on. Thank you for your consideration.